everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Animal Connection with Miss Mcleod. I'm here again with Miss Mcleod, and we are going to learn a little bit about reptiles right now.
Reptiles are way cool to have as pets, as you can see with this Red Tailed Boa snake that Amanda has wrapped around her. But let's look at them and compare them to what we've looked at so far. We've looked at birds, remember the guineas, and that was way a long time ago we looked at the guineas. And then we looked at a whole bunch of mammals. Do you see feathers? No. Any hair? No. And something else big that's different, they're cold-blooded. What that means is if we take a thermometer and we were to put it in his mouth, whatever the temperature of this room is, whatever my thermostat says, that's what his body temperature is going to be. Cold-blooded animals cannot stay warm. Their body temperature is whatever their surrounding is. So usually in the morning, you'll see reptiles like the snake out basking in the sun, warming themselves up to get started for the day. Does he have lungs? You bet. He breathes just like you and I do. And he also has a backbone. A lot of my students at Fulton are surprised to know that. Like a snake? Well, look at him. He's got a really long backbone compared to our backbone. It goes the entire length of his body. So he has lungs, he's cold-blooded, he also is a carnivore, this snake here. Not all reptiles are carnivores, but our snake here is a carnivore. And remember, they breathe with lungs. As you're thinking about reptiles, there's 4 groups of them. I only have 2 of them in my classroom, but one group of reptile is snakes. And snakes, obviously, you can tell the difference from other reptiles. They don't have any legs to them, but they do have really dry, scaly skin. Another type of reptile are lizards, and I do have a couple lizards we'll be looking at. Third group are turtles and tortoises. Sea turtles, of course, have modified legs for swimming, whereas land turtles are called tortoises. And they have a little bit different adaptations to the sea turtle for survival, but they're in their own group. And our 4th group, snakes, lizards, turtles, and tortoises. Our 4th group of reptiles are alligator crocodiles. And we do in the Rockport Fulton area, probably out of the Ramsey Zoo every once in a while, you do find the American alligator. Crocodiles we do not have here in Texas, but we do have the American alligator. So we're going to be spending the next few weeks talking about reptiles like this snake and some of my lizards.
I'm so excited to get into the reptile portion of these episodes. We love our snakes that come to a Ramsey Zoo every year.
This is probably one of my students' favorite animals in the classroom. It's called a Red Tailed Boa. Let's look at the tail. You notice it's not really red. There's different color variations to it. Some of the red-tailed boas on the market have a more reddish color to their tail. This one's more just got kind of a rusty brownish color on its tail. But red-tailed boas get big. They can live 25, 35 years. They can get up to 100 pounds. So if you get one of these as a pet, just know what you're in for. It can get pretty good size. Camp Ramsey Zoo has had the snake as long as I have had it. Every summer for, gosh, I think I've had him about 8 years now. He's been going out to Camp Ramsey Zoo, so a lot of you campers probably have held this red-tailed boa and felt how big he is. Now, we know he's a reptile. We know he breathes with lungs like you and I do. He's got to have water. He has to eat. Food to a red-tailed boa is a prey animal. A mouse, a rat, gerbil, hamster. In the wild, whatever little rodent they can find, they're going to eat it. They don't have to eat every day like you and I. The red-tailed boa is cold-blooded. Remember that? We said it's a reptile, so it's cold-blooded. So they don't have to eat 3 times a day, every day like you and I. This snake can go once a week or once every 2 weeks, and he's cool with that. You know, just as long as he has enough to maintain his body and maintain his body build and all the nutrition that he needs. Now, if you look at him, look at all the muscles he has. He's got a bunch of scales on his skin to help him move around. And what he's doing to Amanda, if you look at him, he's holding onto her arm. They don't have arms and legs like we do, So for support, he has to hold on to something to give his body support. So it's not like he's purposely trying to hurt Amanda. It's not like he's trying to cut off her circulation. He's there just grabbing onto her so he has something for support to himself. Now, red-tailed boas give birth to live young, and they can have up to 25 at a time. They're from North, South, and Central America and the Caribbean. So you can find this snake out in the wild. You go out in the Caribbean or South America, Central America, and you may come across one of them. Good pets if you like snakes. Notice how calm the red-tailed boa is. He's got a very peaceful disposition to him. So to me, I like the red-tailed boas. Let's talk about how he eats. We said he's going to eat a prey animal. So a venomous snake, like a rattlesnake, and this is not a real rattlesnake, it's a replica, which means it's a model of a real one. You would know they have rattles they shape to warn you. Texas has several varieties of rattlesnakes that are native, and I would never bring a venomous snake in my classroom just because they're a danger to students. A venomous snake isn't going to do what he's doing to her with their prey. A venomous snake, like a rattlesnake, is going to inject venom into its prey and then wait for it to go ahead and die before it eats it. Well, our red-tailed boa friend doesn't have venom. So he's not going to inject venom, but he does have teeth. So as he eats his prey, he can hold on to it. But he's going to wrap around his prey really, really tight till he suffocates it. And then he'll eat it. And he's called a constrictor for that reason. A rattlesnake is called a pit viper. And they're called that because they have little pits, little holes on their face where they can feel body heat from a rodent, a mammal. Remember, they're warm-blooded. They can feel that warm-blooded heat coming off a mouse or a rat, and so they'll zero in on it and inject their venom and then wait for them to die. Whereas a constrictor is just going to wrap his body around it and constrict its prey. But still a neat pet to have if you want a snake. Very calm, easy to hold, as Amanda's modeling there. They're probably one of the most popular snakes on the pet trade, along with the ball pythons.
She's just hanging out with me. I know you said that this snake gives birth to live babies. Is that true of all snakes?
No, there are some snakes out there that do lay eggs. It just so happens this snake, just like rattlesnakes, they do give birth to live young. If you're going to keep one of these as a pet, they need a big cage. Be sure you have a cage big enough for them to move around. He's cold-blooded, so he needs some way to heat himself up if he's kept indoors, like this cooler room that we're in right now. So you need a heat lamp or you need a heat rock, somewhere for him to bask. Basking, again, is an instinct. It's a way for them to warm their bodies up. Did you know snakes drink, too? They need water, just like all living things do. So make sure you have a dish of water. You keep it clean for them. Make sure that you get food for them once or twice a week. They're younger, they'll eat a little bit more often. But when they shed their skin, you know, if I outgrow my shirt or have to get bigger clothes, well, same is true with their skin. And this one that just finished shedding, is a little bit left from his last shedding. When his skin gets too small for his body, he's going to shed it, and then he needs some newer skin comes out from underneath. So if you're going to keep a snake as a pet, you need something rough for them to rub on so they can get rid of that skin that they have. Something else cool, when they shed their skin, do you know they shed their eyelid comes off? If you look at a snake and you look at their eyes, a snake doesn't have an eyelid like we do. Their eyelid is like a windshield, and it protects their eyes as they move through leaves and through debris on the ground. But they can't close their eyes like we do, but they do have an eyelid, just a permanent eyelid that comes off when they shed their skin, which is pretty cool if you look at a snake shedding. Look at it and you'll see their eyelid where it comes off. So look at it, he's looking at you. You'll never beat a snake in a staring contest, I can guarantee that.
He's never going to wink at you either.
You see his tongue sticking out? That's how a snake smells their surroundings. They don't smell the way we do with our nose. He's sticking his tongue out, and he's sensing the little smells in the environment around him as he sticks it out. Come on, do it again. You can do it. Maybe he's already smelled us. He's going to smell us again.
He's like, I know you guys.
Oh, there he goes.
There we go.
So is it possible for a snake to drown? Yes, remember, they have lungs just like we do. If you keep a snake underwater long enough, they could drown. So could a sea turtle. Sea turtles have lungs too, and if they get trapped in a shrimper's net underwater, a sea turtle could drown too, just like a snake could, because they have lungs like we do. So cool thing to learn about red-tailed boas today. I love my red-tailed boa, and I'm always so happy when he goes to Ramsey Zoo every summer, because I know he's going to be loved and well taken care of by Miss Amanda, Miss Amelia, and everyone else out at Camper Ramsey Zoo.
They are very cool creatures. Thank you so much for teaching us about our friend the red-tailed boa.
You're welcome. Can't wait to tell you about my other reptiles.
There's going to be a lot more coming up next week, so be sure to tune in to Animal Connection with Miss Mcleod. Bye, guys.